Why are so many people still single? Is it a choice or is it a problem? Whatever the reason, we do know that singlehood is on the rise. A study observed that 28% of the population in the United States during the 1970s was single, and that this number increased to over 40% by 2002. Reasons for why more and more people are staying single is not clear-cut, it's complex and multifaceted. But nonetheless, researchers have still attempted to try and understand this better. My name is Kathleen, I'm a registered psychologist, and in this video I will be sharing with you some of the theories that scientists have put forward about why singlehood is on the rise, as well as the results from a recent study that attempted to investigate this. This whole video was made in the spirit of promoting research, and it is based off of the peer-reviewed journal article Singles Reasons for Being Single. You can check it out after this video. Also, if you enjoy my work, please come and find me on Instagram. There I share book recommendations, podcasts I'm listening to, and what life is like working as a psychologist. It would mean the world to me if you could come and support my work on that space. But for now, let's dig into this video. So for a little bit more context with this study, the research was published in 2020, and the team of researchers put forward 3 hypotheses about why singlehood was on the rise, and they connected it with different theories. So we're going to start off by unpacking this more. The first hypothesis was that being single is beneficial, and here are the theories the researchers connected to this. The first theory was that many people choose to focus on their career before focusing on finding long-term love, because the higher you can work your way up in your career, the more likely you are to attract a high-value partner. They argued that this was especially apparent for men, so for the young graduate, it just made more strategic sense to really buckle down on their career and stay single before putting themselves out there to find a potential partner. The next theory was that people differ in terms of their youth, their health, levels of attractiveness, and intelligence. Staying single allows a person to find someone in their league. Dating someone out of their league might cause insecurity, whereas settling might induce fear that you could have found a better match. Another theory put forward was that it was more beneficial for people to date casually and have a string of non-committed relationships to refine their dating skills in order to attract a high-value partner down the track. Another reason or theory put forward is that after the termination of a serious relationship, it's better for a person to reflect on why the relationship ended, do some work on themselves before they go out and date again. Finally, from a purely evolutionary perspective, the researchers argued that it made more sense for men to stay single, to spread their seed with as many women as possible in order to conceive many children. I'd be very interested to hear your perspective on these theories and reasons put forward, so please let me know down below in the comments what you think. Okay, the next hypothesis the researchers put forward was that dating is too modern. The researchers introduced this theory known as the mismatch problem. It's really interesting. Let me just kind of unpack it. Basically, it argues that in the past, pre the Industrial Revolution, the concept of a long-term relationship was highly regulated. Parents would be arranging marriages for their children. Now, post the Industrial Revolution, people have the freedom of choice, and this is still a very relatively new concept. It causes this mismatch problem where society has not had enough time to adapt to this sudden massive change and refine our dating and flirtation skills to attract an appropriate mate, because in the past it was regulated and organized for us. The final hypothesis put forward was constraints. So people might have some kind of constraint in their life. It might be like a disability or a physical health problem, or maybe it's that they are a single parent and they have children and this makes it too difficult to date. So now let's unpack what the researchers actually found in regards to why so many people are still single. They conducted a survey in the United States for people 18 years and over to fill in, and the condition was that they weren't allowed to be in any sort of romantic relationship. Of the data that was used, there was 648 participants, 307 were females, 341 were males, so pretty even between sexes. The study had 2 sections. So the first part was kind of like this long list, I think it was 92 questions about why they were single, and they had to tick on a 5-point Likert scale from like strongly disagree to strongly agree. And then the second part was basically just filling in their demographic information. All right, so the interesting part of the study, what were the trends that the scientists found? That long list of questions were essentially categorized into 4 separate domains. The first was low capacity for courtship, so it was kind of like insecurities. The second one was freedom. The third was constraints from a previous relationship, and the fourth was personal constraints. So for low capacity, curiosity, courtship. The two highest responses given were not good at flirting and I'm not a desirable mate. For the freedom domain, the main responses given were I want to be free to do whatever I want and I'm not the family type. For constraints from a previous relationship, it was I want to devote more attention to my children and also I have not gotten over my previous relationship. And finally, for personal constraints, it was addiction and then sexual orientation. For more information about these results, I really encourage you to go and look at this study. It's very clear, easy to read, and really fascinating. You can see all the responses listed. I've just given you a really small snapshot. Now let's dig deeper into this data. We're going to look at the trends between men and women. The largest difference for staying single between men and women was desirability. So women felt that they needed to lose more weight, whereas men said that they were more likely to be single because they had not achieved enough in life. The second large difference between sexes was a fear of getting hurt, where women scored significantly higher than men. A third difference between sexes was in freedom of doing what one wants. They didn't actually find a significant difference between this score. However, they did find the reasons both sexes gave different. For men, they were more likely to desire freedom of doing what one wants in order to avoid the obligations and the responsibilities of a relationship, and also gave higher scores for not being the family type, fear of commitment, and wanting to flirt around. The final significant difference between the sexes was in flirting. Men scored more highly for anxiety in dating, as well as fears around being boring or not good at relationships, whereas women scored more highly in having less avenues for meeting available men. The researchers also examined differences between age groups, so let's quickly unpack this. They found that younger people were more likely to have different priorities as a reason for being single compared to older people. Younger people also scored more highly in feeling that they were not good at flirting compared to older people. And interestingly, older people scored more highly in wanting to be free, doing whatever they wanted, compared to younger people. Let's wrap this up by just quickly also mentioning some of the limitations of this study, because like all research, it's never perfect, and looking at this study, there were a few things that I felt could have been improved upon. The first reason that really stood out for me was that this study was quantitative. So the participants were just ticking a scale for a set list of questions that were reasons for why they were single. They didn't have the opportunity to give their own explanation. I felt this study would have been amazing if it included a qualitative component to ask the participant what they actually thought, their thoughts and feelings, give them some room to express themselves. However, in research, this is really hard to present in a nice, neat package. So annoyingly in psychology, it's often avoided. I really think we have more scope to work with this. I think it's needed. And that was a big thing that I was kind of disappointed to see in this study. Another limitation I noticed in this study was it didn't seem to take into account differences between gender. It looked at gender in a very binary way. And I wonder, what about people who don't identify as having a gender? Also, the data seemed to allude to heterosexual relationships. Again, what about same-sex relationships? It would have been interesting to see different dating preferences as well as differences in gender for this study. Overall though, this study was fascinating and I think really easy and accessible to read for the layperson. It's definitely one of the better studies that I've ever read as a psychology student, and my video really just kind of scratched the surface, so I strongly recommend checking it out, at least the results section. You'll find it fascinating. If you like my video, you know what to do. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course come and check out my Instagram. That would actually really mean a lot to me, so please come and have a look at that space too. Take good care of yourself, and I look forward to talking to you in another video. Bye!